Yeah. You my number one fan, girl. You my.
Welcome back to another episode of the ShineHard Conversation. I'm your host, Johnny Bailey, and this week I'm in Brooklyn, New York with Educator extraordinaire, Emilee Christopher.
What's up, everybody?
Emilee is a Harvard graduate. She's a HR director for an educational network here in the city, and she's also a cast member on Aspire TV's The Graduates NYC. Today, Emilee's going to talk about what it means to be an extraordinary educator and how she got to where she is today. And we're going to reveal some secrets to her personal success, and of course she's going to become a member of the ShineHard family. So, are you guys ready to learn something? Emilee, it's time to shine.
Let's do this.
Cool. So it's always fascinating to me when I talk to talented innovators to really understand how their journey began. So can you talk a little bit about what your childhood was like and what growing up was like for you?
Yeah, so I was born in Newark, New Jersey,
Okay.
right across the water from Brooklyn. Was there for a very short time, about 4 years.
Okay.
My family then relocated down to Atlanta, Georgia. We lived in Alpharetta. Spent some time there until I was in about 2nd grade. Then we transitioned to North Carolina, where I'm from, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Lived in Raleigh, and I stayed in Raleigh all the way through going to undergrad at North Carolina A&T. So a lot of moving, shifting around, but I think strong family ties, especially with my immediate family.
Okay.
Because we left our extended family in New Jersey, and then my parents moved on to move their careers forward.
Right.
So I mean, childhood was a lot of church,
Yeah.
a lot of sports.
That's
played.
the southern background.
It's church, sports, family events.
Let's talk a little bit about your experience on the Graduates NYC.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's thousands of HBU graduates in New York City, but you were selected. So talk a little bit about how that opportunity of cast member came about.
Yeah, so I think just a lesson I've always learned in life is that it's all about who you know, and it's all about timing.
Right.
A friend of mine, his name is Rashad Drakeford. He's amazing.
Yeah, I interviewed Rashad 2 days ago.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Rashad linked me up with the producer of the show, executive producer Randolph Stirrup, who's a FAMU grad.
Nice.
And like Randolph, and he just was like, let's have a conversation. And I was like, okay. He said, I have this idea about this show that I'm interested in doing, trying to find the right people, the right mix. Rashad brought your name up. I'd be interested in just learning more about you. And so that was maybe 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
That Randolph and I sat down in a random coffee shop in Midtown and just chopped it up.
Yeah.
And he was like, we're not sure what's going to happen with the show yet. I have it pitched, but we're waiting on a network to pick it up. And so he was like, what I need you to do is create a little reel, a little video of answering some questions, which we would then show to potential investors in the show to see if we can actually make this a thing.
Right.
And then it was like, I have other people I'm talking to make the cast up.
Kind of competitive.
I can't introduce you to them, and you don't know who they are, but and it just so happened 2 years later, all of a sudden I'm getting a phone call, email from him, and he's like, the show got picked up by Aspire.
Did you remember? You were like, what?
I saw his name and I was like, Randolph. I was like, I know that name. And so we're the millennial generation. Everything is like, let me Google this real quick.
Yeah, LinkedIn.
Or go back to your email and this email from 2014. I was like, this guy? I was like, wait, okay. So we had another follow-up meeting and I was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
It seemed like a really good opportunity.
So most people don't know that Aspire is Magic Johnson's network, and the web series is produced by Al Roker.
Yep.
So that's some pretty good names to be affiliated with. What has that experience meant to you for your career as a professional?
I think for me, it was one of those bucket list items you didn't know was a bucket list item.
Yeah.
That it's like, if I ever ended up on TV, cool, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But I always thought about if I were, what would I want to be talking about?
Right.
If I had that opportunity in that space, what would I talk about? And I remember one time, a couple of years ago, I was working on a nonprofit and I did a small piece for Fox News. And I was like, that was just really dope. Just to be on air, talking about real life, not just gossiping about stuff, but really talking about content that matters. And so when the pitch of the show came about, and it was about really understanding the life of the Black millennial, specifically those who went to HBCUs, how we're working to, fulfill our dreams, build our careers out, impact the youth. I would love to talk about those things.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a conversation that we're not having
enough
on a broad scale enough. Where I feel like a lot of us, we'll have our game nights and we all talk about it on the couch while we're playing spades and talking trash, but we never really.
You can't play no spades.
Come, son, don't. That's not even after. But I think that we just don't have that conversation enough. And so for me to be a part of the show, we're having open dialogue, talking about, you know, the things that happen, not just in the United States, but across the globe. Like we talked about the Olympics. We talked about, you know, shootings that were happening over the summer, which there were just way too many of.
Goodness.
You know, we talked about, you know, policy changes, Black Lives Matter. And I think there's just so much that, you know, isn't talked about on mass media.
So is the series over now?
We finished filming
Okay.
over the summer. It was an 8-episode season. So season 1, the last episode aired last weekend.
Will there be a second season?
It depends on the viewers.
Oh, good. Well, hopefully this can help boost the ratings for you guys a little bit.
It depends on the viewers. If we get it, then you know these were mini episodes. They were all about 7-8 minutes.
Yeah, I watched a few of them.
And so I remember people were watching it and calling me like, I found the snippet, but where's the full episode?
Where's
I was
the rest?
like, that is the full episode.
That is the rest.
You got to keep watching it so that we can get more episodes and do a full 30 minutes.
Yeah. So let's talk about your journey into education.
All right.
What was that moment where you decided that I'm going to dedicate my life to education, and educating and mentoring and helping people?
I think for me, a lot of it comes from my mom. She was always, like I reflect and think back about the random things she used to make me go to. And I'm like, why do I need to spend my Saturday afternoon? I could be playing basketball. Like, she used to spend so much time.
Trying to hoop. Like, I ain't trying to go to this.
She used to spend so much time like volunteering. You know, I remember having access to academic programs. I remember having access to after-school programs that helped shape me into who I am. And of course, you know, you're in high school. Everybody's like, I'm gonna be a doctor, or be a lawyer, and all these things. I started off as, you know, I knew I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
So thinking about some of those, you know, civic-facing careers, but didn't really think about education until I was getting ready to go to college.
Okay. So high school age, you started to decide like this is a field that I want to approach.
I had an internship at a local hospital with Med in North Carolina, in Raleigh, and it was really great. I got to and I wanted to be an OBGYN for a long time. I got to that part of my rotation, saw my first birth, and I was like, I'm good.
Make my stomach turn.
I mean, it was just like, that was a lot to take it all at once. And, you know, I think that, like, I just kept thinking, like, how can I help people? And I kept getting drawn back to helping kids. Volunteering through multiple organizations. You know, I've done Big Brother, Big Sister work. I've done Habitat for Humanity work, designing out programs for them. When I was in college, and I was just like, I want to be in education.
Yeah. And you went to A&T.
Yeah, I went to A&T.
And then you went to Harvard.
Yep.
How were those experiences? Was it everything you expected?
A&T was everything I expected, and more. Harvard, same thing, everything I expected and more, but Harvard was a different type of challenge.
Yeah.
I knew by the time I was about halfway through A&T, I wanted to be in education. I was trying to shape what I wanted it to look like. During my junior year at A&T, I had an internship at our child development lab on campus. Part of it was like teaching, the other part was doing like operational support, administrative support for the school. The teaching part, I was like, I love the kids, but I felt stuck, like being in one classroom. I wanted to impact broader.
Right.
So when I had the admin rotation, I was like, this is it. I don't know what this looks like though, because when you think of education, all you think about is teachers,
right.
and, like teachers and principal. Like there aren't other things people think about on a normal basis.
And what else is there?
So you know, as I went to Harvard, because I knew I wasn't ready to go into the workforce yet. I was like, I don't want to go into being a teacher. I want to better understand what's in the education space. So when I was looking for graduate programs, I looked at like school psychology, because that's another field. I was like, they do have psychologists in school.
And your parents had the Ivy League background. Was that kind of a motivator to go Ivy League?
You know, so I got into UCLA for a school psychology doctoral program, and I got into Harvard, and I applied to like Stanford and a couple other schools because I was looking for my right program match. I was looking at ed policy programs and like school psychology.
I like your
programs.
taste.
I mean, hey, gotta either go hard or go home, right?
Exactly.
And to be honest, when I got into both, like I applied to Harvard because they sent me an email after my SAT score. You know when your SAT scores go out and go broad? Like
they didn't send me an email.
So like my scores go out, and so I get this random email like, you should apply to Harvard, and I was like, okay. Like my GRE scores apparently put me on some list.
Okay.
It may be a list that was like cross-referencing like female, black score.
Yeah.
No idea. But I looked over their program offerings and some of their professors, and I was like, this should be like the right fit. It was education policy and management. So I was thinking about managing schools, how ed policy impacts schools on a day-to-day basis, and I was like, this may be the pathway that helps me better understand the different realms of education. Right.
And so now here you are in New York, and I know you're wearing a few hats in the city in education. Talk about your roles here and what you do.
Yeah, so my full-time job that helps me pay my bills is that I'm the managing director of talent at Public Prep.
Okay.
Public Prep is a network of single-sex charter schools in New York City. We have 3 schools in the South Bronx, 2 schools in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And we're really working to change the face of education by not just educating toward the academic goals, but pushing academic rigor aligned with character development.
Okay.
So how are we really developing the whole child? Thinking about the extracurricular activities. You know, I'm actually the basketball coach at the Lower East Side Middle School,
Okay,
so we
sure.
do that.
Couldn't put the ball down, huh?
I could, but I kept thinking about Coach Baker and how she changed my life.
Yeah.
And I missed basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I went and like I coached for a little bit when I was at A&Tech. It was like a 5-year-old team. It was the biggest headache ever. Good grief.
Yeah, because they weren't playing by the rules.
They just running around. It was amazing. I was like, just somebody put the ball in the basket.
Somebody dribble one time at least.
But as I kept going through like undergrad, grad school, and like volunteering with kids, I kept realizing that I loved the middle school age group.
Mm-hmm. What's the biggest challenge for you in education?
I mean, I would say like when I think about the work that I do is from a policy perspective, I work in talent, and so what we've seen across the board over the years, I've been at Public Prep I'm going into my 7th year now, is just a decline in the quality of people coming out of teacher education programs.
Because people don't want to be teachers?
People don't want to be teachers. You know, I think our society, the American society, does not value teachers enough.
So a major part of this project is passion. And I think passion changes everything. And finding your passion helps guide you to your purpose.
Yeah.
It really seems like you are walking in your purpose. So tell me, what is your passion and when did you know?
I mean, I would really say my passion is education. You know, it's helping youth figure out who they want to be. So many people help me figure that out.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's only right to pay it forward.
Absolutely.
I think I kind of figured out like education was like my sophomore year at A&T when I actually stopped playing basketball mid-year. I was like, I really want to dive into the academics.
Yeah.
I had a really dope internship, and I was like, this is it.
What was the internship?
I was actually went to the University of Michigan.
Okay.
Up in Ann Arbor, no man's land.
Right near Plymouth.
Yep. It was like, it was just transformative. So it was like one summer I did a couple different trips. I would actually say the pivotal one was when I went to University of Nebraska-Lincoln. It was an internship, leadership experience with the Gallup organization.
The Gap?
Gallup.
Gallup. Okay.
So Gallup does a lot of, people probably know Gallup through like their Gallup polls. They also have what was back then called the Gallup Summer Leadership Institute.
Okay.
And it was a space where they brought like 25 random HBCU students together, all of us between our sophomore and like junior year, I think. And it was like a leadership boot camp where we're talking about like, who are you?
Yeah.
And it was the first time I really had those conversations where I was like, at like 19, 20 years old, you're like, wait, who am I? It started off with a really dope survey we had to take called the Strengths Finder 2.0, which is one of my favorite books. And from there, like it kind of, I feel like I knew I wanted to be a leader before and work with people, but you look for those words that like kind of help you articulate that, and the Strengths Finder 2.0 gave me that language.
Gotcha.
And I was like, now I understand why this all makes sense.
So when we translate to stepping into one's purpose, I feel like everyone has had a dream at some point. And most of us have a dream today, but there is a disparity between people who are actually realizing their dream and the people who aren't. What separates those people?
Drive.
How so?
I think it's all about drive. I think if you have a dream and you want it, you just have to go get it. It's as simple as that. If you have a dream and you're not doing anything to get it, it has nothing to do with anybody but yourself. And that's a lot of pressure for people. Like some people are like, my boss got in the way, this got in the way, that got in the way. And I kind of live by the mantra of like, ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Don't ask for permission.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Right.
And then however it turns out, it's like, well, and if you messed up, like, I messed up, I'm gonna own it. Here's how I want to fix it.
Yeah.
Does this work for y'all?
I love that.
Cool, let's fix
Don't
it.
ask permission, ask forgiveness.
Like,
That's my life motto.
Like at a certain point, it's like, I'm gonna stop waiting for the okay from someone else to do what you feel is right. So I was actually talking to a friend and I'm like, I've been doing like one-off like interviews and events and stuff like that, and I was like, but I go back and I don't have a lot of pictures from it, or I don't have a lot of video from it, and I'm like, I know I did them, and like people know I've done them, but when it comes down to really like creating
The narrative of
the
your
narrative.
life.
Like, I'm like, what do I really have to show for it? So that's something I've actually been thinking about is, like, how do I begin to archive some of this stuff?
That's
Because
so
it's really
important.
dope.
Yo, that's one thing that I don't know how God instilled that in me, but even when I was a kid playing sports in high school, I used to go to the little store next door to my house and grab the paper and cut out my stats, and I created
I
this
still have those
scrapbook.
from high school.
Yeah, like all my pictures, everything that I did in high school, I started scrapbooking it. And
Yeah,
then
that's dope.
going through college now, I have like, a nice little archive or scrapbook
Yeah.
that I can look back and say,
I
at
have a
least I did
shoebox.
something.
I have a shoebox.
Yeah.
Like, we won, I think, it's like a random thing, just like the net from when we won, like the regional or something like that. Clippings from high school basketball games, and I'm like, then it's like this drop off of like I went to college, I have like some awards and some
Yeah.
things.
You transitioned to the academic phase, but I'm
Yeah.
sure you still have some awards.
And that's what I'm trying to
some
find, like
things.
more of those. I'm like, I know I got random certificates, but in my mind I'm like, either at my mom's house
Uh-huh.
or I threw them away. For whatever reason, like because of moving so much
Yeah.
too.
Right.
Because you try to I keep my books.
Well,
but
you
I
didn't
can't
do
keep
it for the
everything.
award. You did it for
The experience.
the experience. And it happened, but you didn't think about it. But anywho, you have it, and we never forget that you did that stuff. How do you define success? And what motivates you? I know you said your nephews or nieces,
Nieces.
but what motivates you to chase your success on a professional level?
I really feel like, the realm of education has so far to go. It's still very reminiscent of when it was the old school schoolhouse, kids sit in desks and rows, there's a bell, there's books. I think that we need to reconfigure the way that education is working. We need to transform it because the children who are learning now are not the same children who the education system was.
So what does
before.
success look like to you in that?
So
in that
for
way?
success looks like, taking steps toward that. So whether it's helping, my current organization, develop, refine education in our small realm and then begin to replicate that out. And I think success for me is malleable. It is not like, here's my bar, because it keeps changing. But at the end of I think it's at the end of the day, really seeing I've impacted change. Like that to me is success. Like when I go back to one of the schools I used to work at and still see artifacts from when I was there, which are like, they still have this process in place. Or they like, to me, that's success.
Right.
Or when, I have a staff member come ask me a question about something I did like years ago, and I'm like, what? Or kids come ask me questions, how can I get better at this? Like to me, like seeing them grow, like watching my girls go from not being able to make a layup to now like knocking down 50 and 60 in 2
hitting
minutes.
like the up and unders and stuff.
Like that to me is success. Like I feel like my success is not lived through me, it's lived through those that I've impacted.
Yeah. The political climate in America right now is very hot, I would say. It's a lot going on, and especially with the recent election, there's a lot of tempers flaring. And I'm seeing in the music and on social media, people say the term "stay woke."
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
I have.
What does it mean to you? What does "stay woke" mean?
I think to me, stay woke just means like stay aware and stay relevant. Know what's going on, because people like my vote doesn't matter, and look what happened. You need to stay aware of what is going on around you, because you never know when A, the circumstance might change, B, change for the worse.
Right.
We've seen a lot of terrible incidents happen, fatal incidents happen. You gotta be aware, and you gotta also know like what is your place in all of this. I think for me, like I'm kind of like not necessarily staying in my lane, but I know education is how I want to impact change, and so to an extent, like putting all my seeds in one basket. Like this is how I want to impact it, because when you start spreading yourself too thin, you're not effective.
Right, you're not making it.
And so I think to be woke, to stay woke, you have to understand your place in what's going on right now, how you can impact it, how you can change it, and what your next steps are to continue the progress, because things are going to keep changing around us, especially as Black people.
Yeah.
We have to be aware, because we have to stay a part of the narrative.
Right. What would you say frustrates you the most about today's culture?
I would say that today's culture, especially when you think about social media, that like presence means active. When I say
What
that,
does
I
that
mean like you putting a post up means you are now a full part of the movement. Like we appreciate your post, but have you also gone and talked to your local congressman? Are you going out in the community talking to kids? Like what are you actually doing behind this post? You're like, ha, got that 100 likes.
Right.
And then you go wait till next Thursday to drop your Throwback Thursday post of something that's totally irrelevant.
Right.
Like how are you, not just being present in the movement, but being active.
Right.
And I think it's tough where a lot of people mistake being present, posting something, as really driving it forward when that's all they're doing.
Right.
Like, what else are you actually trying to do? Because the movement is multifaceted. It is not just through social media. It is not just through marches. It is not just through policy. It is not just through, your relationship with your peers, colleagues, friends. We have to attack this system. We have to attack racism. We have to attack discrimination from every angle.
Right.
A lot of these behaviors that we're seeing are intrinsic. These are things that half people who are offending people don't even realize why it's offensive.
Right.
We have to re-educate people.
Yeah.
And it can't just be like through social media posts. It can't just be through yelling in the street, because people learn differently.
Do you feel like you know yourself?
I feel like myself is changing every day. I feel like I'm it's a great question. I feel like I know who I want to be. I feel like I know where I came from. I feel like I'm ever evolving. That the person I am today will be a little bit different from the person I am tomorrow, and it's different from the person I was 5-10 years ago.
So what would you say are the 3 attributes that make up Emilee Christopher? What's your DNA?
So it's interesting that when you see 3 things instantly pop into my head, and they're 3 things my pastor, A.R. Bernard, talks about. And he frames them in terms of, there are 3 things that God wants from man, and then there are 3 things that a woman wants from a man.
Oh.
But I think by those 3 things, like, I feel everybody should, like when it says God to man, like God to like humankind, but decisiveness, consistency, and strength. So I try to be decisive in decision making, and leverage the information that I have to make the best decisions for me.
Right.
I try to be as consistent as possible. One thing that a little mantra I have day by day is do what you say you will do. And so,
Be impeccable with your word.
I fall short, and when I fall short, I try to, own up to it and move forward. But then just show strength. So to be there for my friends, family, colleagues, whoever needs that support. Because it's life is hard, and people have different challenges, and people, struggle with different things. And I think it's all of our job to, learn from each other and respect each other and try to become better every day.
Sure. What advice do you have for the young students and young professionals that want to really be extraordinary as an educator, and what's the mindset of a powerful educator?
So I would say for the younger people, and I'm thinking like 18 under, so you haven't gone to college yet, you have a choice. You have a choice, and it is your fault if you don't use it. You can gain access to whatever you want now with the internet, whatever you want. Don't let anybody tell you no. Like, you have a choice. And choosing to, sit back and be comfortable is also a choice. Choosing to strive for better things is a choice. I'd say for the young professionals, one thing that impacted me is this concept, and it's like, I'll break it down, but the concept of like, don't be afraid to quit something. I've learned that in life, your path will change, it will adjust, it will shift, and sometimes the fear of getting out of your comfort zone and not quitting something will hold you back from your blessing. For me, the way I kind of pivoted from being in a school to being in education to being in HR and talent was because I made a decision that I wanted to leave the school that I was at because I felt I was stagnant.
You outgrew
I
that.
I was like, I need something better.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, salary was great, benefits was great, like, life was good.
Yeah.
But I knew nothing was going to change unless I shook something up.
Right.
And so I literally was like, I had to like hype myself up, call my mom. She walked me through the conversation. I was like, Mom, I'm going in, I'm going to quit. Not immediately. It's like a letter of resignation for the future, but I have to make this statement.
Yeah, start exiting.
Because if I don't, my mindset won't put me in the frame to begin to search again.
Right.
So I think for those who are trying, maybe either like A, struggling with what's your next step, or B, trying to really understand, is this right for me? Sometimes leaving something is just as powerful as like getting a promotion. Like, you may think the next step is the best, but if you still feel stagnant, then maybe you should have just left.
Right. So Emilee, that is a wrap for today's conversation.
Awesome. This was great.
Yeah, I really appreciate your insight, your time, everything that you brought to the table, the work that you're doing in education. So thank you.
No, we appreciate you for putting all this together, and ShineHard is amazing. I'm excited.
Thank you. So we look forward to connecting you with our members, also giving you more platforms to share your message. But can you tell everyone how they can find you online?
Yes, so you can find me Facebook, LinkedIn, Emilee Christopher, Emilee. Last name Christopher like first name. Twitter _Emilees09, Instagram Emilee09, same thing. Yeah, come see me.
Cool. So you can find me, Johnny Bailey, at JB's Food for Thought on Instagram, and always find the ShineHard family at ShineHard family, and visit the website ShineHardFamily.com. You guys continue to find your passion, search for it. When you do find it, find a way to serve, and always, together we shine. See you guys next week. Emilee, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
It's not you, baby girl, don't think for a second that you don't got the juice. It's me, not you. I've been acting like a fool cause I can't handle you getting hurt by me. I respect you getting too deep, I'ma try to up and leave. Don't wanna make you cry, hit you with too many lies like you the only one, but I'm crushing on 3. Baby, I'm a boy trying to be a man, working on the plan, running with the clan, developing for my #1 fan. They say it won't work if you ain't